discovered my mom's best friend was actually my biological father, I always thought my family was pretty normal. My mom raised me on her own, and her best friend, this kind, funny guy who was always around, felt almost like an uncle. But one DNA test later, I realized that everything I believed about my childhood was built on a lie. I grew up in Oregon, just me and my mom. She always told me my dad wasn't in the picture, that he left before I was born. I didn't question it much. Every kid wants to know about their dad, but mom always changed the subject or said it was too painful to talk about. There was one person who was always part of our lives, Mark, mom's best friend. He'd come over for every birthday, every holiday. He helped fix stuff around the house, took me fishing, and even taught me how to ride a bike. When I was younger, I used to joke that Mark acted more like a dad than my real one. Mom would just smile awkwardly and change the subject. I didn't think much of it then, but looking back, that silence said everything. Fast forward to when I turned 24. My girlfriend got me one of those Ancestry DNA kits for Christmas just for fun. We both wanted to see where our families came from. A few weeks later, the results came in. I opened the email expecting to see a bunch of percentages and regions. But one thing caught my eye, a 50% parental match. At first I thought it was some kind of glitch, but then I saw the name, Mark, last name. My stomach dropped. It didn't make sense. Mark was my mom's best friend, not my father. I even called the company to ask if there was a mistake. But nope, it was accurate. I sat with that information for a few days, not knowing what to do. Finally, I decided to confront my mom. We were sitting in the kitchen. I told her about the test and she froze like every bit of color drained from her face. After a long pause, she whispered, "You weren't supposed to find out this way." That's when everything came out. Apparently, she and Mark had been together briefly in college. They were best friends for years, and when she got pregnant, she panicked. Mark was engaged to someone else at the time, and she didn't want to ruin his life, so she decided to raise me alone. Mark found out after I was born and wanted to be part of my life, just not as my father. They agreed he'd be Uncle Mark, the family friend, and for over 2 decades, they kept that secret. The hardest part wasn't the lie, it was realizing how close we'd been all those years without knowing the truth. The man who taught me to shave, who came to my graduation, who gave me advice about life and relationships, he was my dad the whole time. I confronted Mark later, and he broke down crying. He said he always wanted to tell me, but he didn't want to cause tension or confuse me as a kid. We're rebuilding our relationship now this time, as father and son. It's awkward, emotional, and messy, but it's real. As for my mom, it took a while to forgive her. I understand why she did it, but hiding something that big changes everything. Now, when I look back at old photos, Christmas mornings, fishing trips, birthdays, I see it. The way he looked at me, the way she looked at him, they both knew. And now, finally, so do I. Sometimes the truth doesn't destroy you. It just rebuilds you into someone who finally understands their own story. And for the first time in my life, I finally know who my father is.